Good day, everyone. Today we're going to discuss the architect's guidelines. This is the methods of compensation and schedule of fees. This is the latest document. This presentation is brought to you by Atlas Career Development Center. So you can access our blogspot, atlas-cdc.blogspot.com, or you can also like our Facebook page, Atlas CDC. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just type in the hashtag Discover Atlas CDC or hashtag Experience Atlas CDC. So a short introduction to the architect's guidelines. This document, the architect's guidelines, is in accordance with the standards for professional practice documents compliances. And this document is meant to serve as a guide for architects in selecting what is the best method for compensation, as well as what is the most appropriate one to use for each particular type of architectural service. Also, this document can serve as a reference for clients in understanding how architects charge for their particular services. So this document, the Architect's Guidelines, is in compliance with PRBOA Resolution number 3, Series of 2010, and wherein that particular resolutions indicated that the Architect's Guidelines is already made as an integral part of the IRR of RA 9266. So meaning it is now part of the implementing rules and regulations of the RA 9266 and is the official reference document for the methods of compensation and standards in the fixing of fees for professional services rendered. So let us first have a short discussion on the different methods of compensation. So the compensation of an architect may be computed based on one or a combination of the following. So we have three main categories. One is the percentage-based fee. We have also the lump sum or the fixed fee. And last is the time-based fee method of compensation. Let's take a look at the different types of compensation from each of these categories. So under the percentage-based fee, we have the percentage based on the project construction cost. So this is the most common method, the most popular one. And the fee of the architect here varies depending on the classification of buildings. So we have groups 1, groups 2, 3, and so on. We have the complexity of building requirements, the construction value, and the type of construction contract, as well as adjustment factors that may have to be considered that constitute extent of work to be performed by the architect. So later on, I'm going to discuss what are these adjustment factors that has to be considered in order to determine the percentage fee based on project construction cost. Now we go to the new one that is introduced in this particular document is the unit cost method. Although for other professions they are using this already, like for example for electrical engineers, they charge according to per ampere, and for structural engineers I think they charge it according to per square meter. So here, the professional fee of the architect is based on a computed unit cost parameter, and that is per square meter. Now, the computed cost per area may be derived from historical data on the average construction cost. So you have to be familiar or aware what is the prevailing average construction cost. Now, so let's say we have an office building project with 1,000 square meters gross floor area and a 200 square meters non-gross floor area. So for GFA and non-GFA areas, please refer to Rule 7 and Rule 8 of the NBCP. So for example, we have the average project construction cost based on historical data, or the prevailing one is 30,000 pesos per square meter. So that is the construction cost for that particular office building, for a office building project. And the PF of the architect, using the percentage of project construction cost. Let's say the architect is using 6% of the project construction cost as the PF. So with that, the professional fee now can be computed based on the unit cost method by just multiplying the per square meter construction cost of 30,000 pesos times 6%. So that means that the professional fee per square meter is 1,800 square meters. Now, for the GFA areas, you apply that 1,800 pesos per square meter. And if the GFA is 1,000 square meter, it means that your fee for the GFA areas is 1.8 million. And for the non-GFA, assuming that is the percentage fee that you assign is 50% of the fee for the GFA areas, that means that is 900 pesos per square meter times the floor area of 200 will give you 180,000. And so you have now a total fee for the detailed architectural and engineering design services of 1.98 million. So here, in this case, the client would easily understand that if the floor area increases, it means there will be an increase in the professional fee as well. So sometimes kasi the client, they better understand the relationship of the cost according to the floor area. So we have this one again. Part of the percentage-based fee method is the value-based pricing, or the percentage of gross rentals. And this particular type of compensation is usually used for building administration. So this is based on the outcome of revenue, cost, and profitability result of a project management, or based on a measurable profit on specific revenues. So the remuneration may be based on a certain percentage of the gross rental. So if the building administrator can increase the gross rentals through some efficient use of spaces, then there will be the compensation of the architect doing building administration will also increase because it is based on the gross rentals. So we now go to the lump sum or the fixed fee. So this is normally not used for private projects, but now it is already being allowed. But the caution is to be done when making use of the lump sum or fixed fee. So gagamitin lang ito when the scope of services required can be clearly and fully defined at the outset of the project. So meaning, klarado na lahat. Well-defined ang scope of services or scope of work na naka-stipulate doon sa contract. So the client and the architect should agree on the details of the following. So what is the scope of the project? Kailangan very detailed. How many square meters? How many floors? Etc. The schedule for the design and approval, kasi merong times na baka mamaya may papadaanin pang mga pasikot-sikot bagong approval ng design, no? So kailangan merong schedule at naka-stipulate yan sa contract, as well as construction schedule. You have to be aware na minsan kapag ang construction is to be administered by the owner, medyo magkakaroon ng problema sa construction scheduling. So that has to be clearly defined in the contract, including other variables that would define the extent of services to be performed so that the architect can prepare a comprehensive estimate of work hours and overhead costs. So So two methods can be used to arrive at a lump sum compensation. So how do you determine kung magkano yung lump sum talaga or fixed fee? So one method to use to come up with a lump sum is to use the uh, percentage-based fee method. No? An appropriate percentage of probable project construction cost of the project. So let's say you have an estimated construction cost of 10 million, and say the uh, percentage fee is 10%, so which means that the fee is 1 million. So that will be your lump sum. So that is one reference to make use of. The other one is to compute the direct development of a fixed amount of compensation by estimating the individual elements of the cost outlines plus a reasonable margin of profit, all expressed as a single lump sum. So parang parang application ng multiple of direct personal expense. Kung medyo sanay ka na sa isang project, medyo alam mo na kung magkano magiging operational costs, and other cost na mai-incur doon sa pag-prepare ng documents. So with that, pwede mong i-compute, and of course, compute also your profit, and then you can arrive at that lump sum. So with that computation, compare it with the first method using the percentage. Which one are you going to use? No? So this serves as the second one serves as a check to the other, or the first one serves as a check to the second one. No? And finally, you choose which you think is fair to you and also fair to the client. So we now go to the third one, the time-based fee. And the time-based method of compensation is typically used for the following. So we have services which are not well defined. So you cannot use the lump sum, or you cannot use the percentage. So for services like pre-design, medyo sa pre-design services kasi more on documentation, so you can compute how many man hours can be used to do that particular kind of service. We have partial services, additional services, or for services as an expert witness, or a specialist expertise or professional architectural consultancy services. So pwedeng per hour yan, per day, per month, and so on. The hourly or per dime daily rates for architects and their staff should be agreed at the outset. So sa simula pa lamang ng usapan or sa contract, nag-agree na sa contract kung magkano talaga yung hourly or per dime. And additionally, the client and architect should agree upon a time period for review and adjustment of the hourly rates, perhaps annually. So pwedeng ilagay din niya sa contract yung pag nakaroon ng provision na pwede mabago yung rate because kakaroon din ng inflation. No? So, perhaps this is done annually kasi may tinatawag na annual inflation in order to adjust for inflation and other factors. Now, for the time-based fee, we have these different methods, the multiple of direct personnel expense. So, this is based on the total hours spent to do that particular type of service, and this is done by adding all the technical services, man hours times rate. So lahat ng kasali sa team na gagawa ng service na yon, i-compute nyo yung man hours at saka rate ng bawat tao, and then once you total them, multiply the total by a chosen multiplier. And this multiplier range from 1.5 to 2.5. So, ikaw pipili kung alin dyan sa 1.5 to 2.5 na gamitin mo. Now, the choice will depend on the office setup, the overhead, and experience of the architect, as well as the complexity of the project. So, kung ano ka na, well experienced ka na, then you can choose the higher multiplier. Now, additional charge for the cost of transportation, living and housing allowances of foreign consultants, out-of-town living and housing allowances, the local consultants and the like. So this is separate, no? That is additional charges. We also have the salary cost times a multiplier plus direct costs or reimbursable expenses. This is very similar to the multiple of direct personnel expense. Kaya lang dito, ang kinocompute is the total basic salaries of all professional consulting architects, including their staff. So, ginagamit ito for professional consulting services, professional architectural consultancy services or PACS. Now, instead of the multiplier of 1.5 to 2.5, the one used here is a higher multiplier, which is 3, because the architect here is already a professional consulting architect. Now, other items can be considered as reimbursable to the professional consulting architect, like transportation, living, and housing allowances as mentioned in the multiple of direct personnel expense. Now we have professional fee plus expenses. This is used when there is a continuing relationship on series of projects. So, instead of using the NDPE, kung marami namang project binibigay yung client, then you can use instead the professional fee plus expenses kasi ang kinocompute na lang dito is yung fee ng architect and all others are considered as expenses to be paid by the owner. So, it establishes an agreed fixed rate or lump sum over and above the reimbursement for the architect's technical time and overhead. And so, an agreement on the just scope of the work is necessary in order to set an equitable fee. So, wala na itong multiplier na sinasabi. Ang ano lang dito is whatever is the fee, the fixed rate of the architect, and the other expenses, overhead expenses, the staff salaries, office operational expenses are to be paid as an additional cost by the owner. So we have also the per diem honorarium plus reimbursable expenses. So this one is done for certain types of activities which are considered as not the regular type. So client may request an architect to do work which will require his personal time doing activities such as attending project-related meetings, conferences, or trips, conducting ocular inspection of possible project sites, pero hindi naman under, wala namang pre-design services na site selection, basta pinapa-inspect lang yung possible project sites, and conferring with others regarding prospective investments or ventures and the like. So the architect can be paid on a per diem and honorarium basis plus out-of-pocket expenses. We have also the per diem or the hourly basis. Per diem is not per day, but this is per appearance. And so this method is particularly suited to engagements that involve intermittent personal service and is compensated for all the time he devotes to the work, including travel time. So kasama dito ang travel time, Per diem should be based on the complexity of the work involved and the extent of experience specialization. So the architect would just have to compute how much is the per diem charge based on the experience of the architect or specialization. Now, the hourly fees are well suited for consultation services, testimony in court, or similar work involving miscellaneous personal service. We have here also retainer. This is the common practice of clients who wish to be assured of always having available the services of an individual architect or architectural firm. So usually this is consultancy, no, on a retainer basis. So this is used when the services of an architect specialist are not required on a full-time basis. So di mo kailangan mag-report every day sa opisina, no? You only go to the office or report to the client once they need your services. So naka-stipulate naman sa contract kung how frequent will be your delivery of services. Either once a week or twice a month and so on. And the last one is the mixed methods of compensation. This is just combining any of the methods mentioned previously. So for one phase of the project, an appropriate method of compensation may be used, and for another phase of that project, a different method can also be applied. So pwedeng pagsamasamahin, hindi naman isang type of service, isang method lang ang gamitin. So pwedeng sa isang particular stage ng project na yan, you can apply the percentage, and for another aspect of that project, you can use the per dime. Okay, so we now go to the second part of that architect's guidelines is the schedule of fees. So the entire range of the architect services is divided into 10 major services as follows. So we have pre-design is SPP document 201, SPP document 202 is regular design, SPP document 203 is specialized architectural, SPP document 204A is full-time supervision, SPP document 204B is construction management, SPP document 205 is post-construction services, SPP document 206 is comprehensive architectural services, and document 207 is design build, and SPP document 208 is architectural design competition, and SPP doc 209 is professional architectural consulting services. So if you notice, hindi lang type of service dito is architectural design competition. So this will not be included in our discussion for the schedule of fees. So from 207, dalaktawan natin ng 208, we go to 209. So let's start with SPP document 201, pre-design services. You can use the following method of compensation. The MDPE, actually this is the most preferred one for pre-design services because pre-design services does not entail any design or creativity. Design output, I mean. So we have professional fee plus expenses, lump sum or fixed fee, per dime honorarium plus reimbursable expenses, or the mixed methods of compensation. Now for pre-design services, compensation is based on the architect's architectural firm's talents, the skill, the experience, imagination, the type and level of professional services provided. Kasi nga, MDPE is the most preferred one, so you can choose your multiplier, 1.5 to 2.5, and the choice, of course, is based on those mentioned factors. Now, the architect should request for a 5% acceptance fee based on the agreed professional fee or the PF upon signing of the agreement. So, yung 5% acceptance fee is parang initial payment. Hindi ito down payment but initial payment for accepting the challenge to do the architectural services. Now, the client shall make progress payments upon request of the architect within 7 calendar days from the submission of the statement of the account. So, pwedeng mag-set ang architect kung paano yung progress billing, kung once a month or every 15 days. No? And shall submit to the client a statement of the account. So, para yung client ay merong time frame of 7 days to pay the architect. Now, we go to SPP document 202. This is the regular design services. So, the regular design services is based on the following method. So, if you notice, naka-indicate dito yung percentage fee or the based on the PCC or the unit cost method based on the PCC. These are the recommended, the most common one, but you can also make use of the other method of compensation like the MDPE, PF plus expenses, lump sum or fixed fee per dime, honorarium, or a mixed method of compensation. So, hindi entirely percentage fee, no? So, you still have choices kung ano pa ang pwede nyong i-apply. Although the most popular one is the percentage fee, and probably now the unit cost method may also gain some popularity. Now we have also the two types of contracts now. We have the detailed architectural engineering design services or the DAEDS. This means there is a single contract between the architect and the owner. So sila lang ang may kontrata. At yung architect at saka mga engineering services ay may sub-consultancy contracts. So, walang contract yung design engineers doon sa client. Only the architect and the owner. Now, for detailed architectural design services or DADS, the architect and the engineering allied professionals now have separate contracts with the owner. So, direct na yung contract ng mga ibang design professionals doon sa owner. Now, in this case, since the architect is the one who will be coordinating all the work, the architect's fee shall constitute 60% of the corresponding stated professional fee for the EDS. So, kung magkano ang fee for a complete type of services, yung DA for detailed architectural engineering design services or DAEDS, then 60% of that is the fee for DADS. So let us now look at the recommended professional fee for architects using the percentage method. Now we have these group classifications. We have group 1. These are the buildings of the simplest utilization and character, which are without complication of plan design or detail. So if you look at this particular type of buildings, you will easily notice that mostly it is open inside. There are not much partitions, very minimal partitions inside the building. So these are considered as simple buildings under group 1. And so this is the recommended professional fee. So take note, recommended professional fee ang ginagamit natin, hindi na yung basic minimum fee, but just the recommended professional fee, which means that you may make use of this one or you can go higher or lower than this one using the adjustment factors. So based on the requirements for the project. Now for the complete services, the detailed architectural engineering design services or the DAEDS, for group 1, for 50 million and less, the recommended professional fee RPF is 5%. Now if that is only architectural design services, then the professional fee of the architect is 3%, the recommended professional fee, 3% of the project construction cost. Now, if the project construction cost will be over 50 million, then you have to notice that the percentage goes lower for every particular range. So, kung lumampas na sa 50 million up to 100 million, then in excess of the 50 million, the excess is computed at 2.4 for the DADS and 4% for the DAEDS. So, pababa yan. So, you cannot compute the 1 billion construction cost and just multiply it by 5% or multiply it by 3%. Otherwise, you will come up with a very big amount. So, habang palaki ng palaki ang construction cost, nagbabawas ang percentage fee. So let's have an example. You have a project for group 1 with an estimated project construction cost of 1.5 billion. So this is the project construction cost, estimated one. So if that is a detailed architectural design and engineering services, or DAEDS, then let's say the fee that you are making use is the recommended professional fee of 5%. So for the first 50 million of this project construction cost, your fee is 5%. So that is 2.5 million is your professional fee for the first 50 million. Now for the next 50 million, because this one 100 minus 50 is 50 million range, so the next 50 million, that is computed at 4%. So that is 4% of 50 million is 2 million. Now for the next range, this is a range of 100 million. So the next 100 million for this particular cost is computed at 3%. So 3% of 100 million is 3 million. And for this particular range, this is 300 million range, 500 minus 200. So the next 300 million is computed at 2%. So 2% of 300 million is 6 million. And this one, 500 to 1 billion, that is 500 million range. So the next 500 million is computed only at 1%. So that is 1 million is your recommended professional fee. And then the remaining in excess of 1 billion, so the next 500 million of this construction cost is computed at 0.5%. So 5% of 500 million is 2.5 million. So that if you total this one, the total of these 500, 500, 3, 1, 50, 50 is 1.5 billion. And also, you have to add all of this, your fee for that particular construction cost range, then your total will be 21 million. Okay, so that's how you make use of the particular table. Or if not, you can just refer to this one. If you are using 5%, then just refer to 18,500,000. Then the excess, if your project is 1.5 billion, the excess is 500 million. So 500 million times 0.005 is at 2.5 million. So which means that 2.5 million plus 18 million, 18.5 million will also give you 21 million. Now we go to group 2. These are buildings of moderate complexity of land design. So you have here the residential condominiums. So these are high-rise residential, multi-story service apartments. And also we have commercial here, commercial buildings, retail, shops, supermarkets. And also we have institutional buildings like city town halls, civic centers. And we also have here parks and recreational facilities. So these are the most common types of projects. So group 2, the recommended professional fee for DAEDS is at 60% for 50 million or less. And for DAEDS, the detailed architectural design services, it is 3.6%. Again, kapag lumampas sa 50 million yung construction cost, then take note of the excess is computed at lower percentages. Now we go to group 3. These are now the buildings of exceptional character and complexity of land design. And these, if you will notice, yung mga buildings na to ay very complicated in terms of planning and design because marami silang rooms, maraming partitions, and also they incorporate certain type of specialty equipment inside buildings. So for group 3, the recommended professional fee for the complete type of service, detailed architectural engineering design services, is at 7% for 50 million and less. And for detailed architectural design services only is 4.2%. Now, so if we summarize, for detailed architectural and engineering design services for groups 1, 2, and 3, we have 5, 6, and 7% respectively. Now we go to group 4. Okay. This is the most common residential type of project, but only for single detached or single attached or duplex, row houses, shop houses, or small apartment houses, and townhouses. So these are the single family dwellings only. So we have here the EDS. The recommended professional fee is 10% of the project construction cost. Now, if that is a detailed architectural design services or DADS, it is at 6% of the project construction cost. Now, for group 5, we have monumental buildings and other facilities requiring a consummate design skill. So medyo detalyado itong mga designs dito, no? So we have the EDS at 12% of the PCC, and for detailed architectural design is 7.5% is the recommended professional fee. Okay, so under group 6, we have the repetitive construction of similar buildings. Parang meron, let's say, regional office building na i-prepared a single plan and design, and then that particular plan and design will have to be repeated all throughout different regions, no? Of course, there will be some minor adjustment that will be undertaken to because of certain site conditions, no? So for the first building to be constructed, your RPF is 100% of the RPF for that particular type of building. So let's say that is a regional office building. Office building is under group 2, the RPF is 6%. So that, which means for the first building, your RPF is 6%. Now, for the second building is 50% of your RPF. So, for the second building, office building, it means 50% of 6%. So, that will be 3% only of the PCC. Huh? And the third building is 40% of the RPF. So, 40% na lang of 6%. That is 2.4%. And fourth and succeeding buildings will be 30% of RPF. So 30% of 60% for the fourth building means it is 1.8%. Okay, we go to group 7. These are now for housing projects that involve the construction of several residential units on a single site. So pare-parehas yung design ng building. Let's say model house A, 100 units to be constructed. So you only prepare one plan for that particular house model. And so for that, the recommended professional fee is here. The first unit is for a complete architectural engineering design services, that is 10%. And for detailed architectural design is 6%. No? Dahil halos pares ito ng group 4. Na single family dwelling. For apartment, yung hindi ito ginagamit, but you have to do group you have to make use of group 2. Now from 2 to 10 units of that housing unit, the fee is 50% of the fee for the first unit, and this is computed for each additional unit. So, kung magkano ang fee mo sa first unit, kalahati na lang noon ang charge mo sa bawat additional unit up to the 10th unit. And 11 to 30 units, yung lahat ng additional units na yon, ang computation mo is just 40% of the RPF, yung 40% of the 10%. And 31 to 50 units for each additional unit is computed at 25%. And 51 above, all additional units will be computed at 50% of your RPF. And for DADS, ito naman yung dinadagdag 30%, 24, 15, and 9%. So take note, ang computation is for each additional unit. So let's have an example para mas madaling maintindihan ito. So let's say you have 100 units to be constructed using model house A with a project construction cost of 10 million per unit. So ito yung reference natin. And the first unit, that is computed if your professional fee is 10%. Ginamit natin 10%. So 10% of the 10 million, your professional fee is 1 million. Then for the second up to the 10th unit, so you have 9 units additional. So each unit is computed at 50% of 10% is 5%. So meaning that is 500,000, 0.5 million times 9 units kasi for each unit So it means you have a total of 4.5 units. Now for the additional 20 units, so that is computed at 40% of the first unit. So that is 40% of 1 million is 400,000 times 20 units. So your fee is 8 million. And for the next 20 units, it's computed at 25% of 10%. So that is 25% of 1 million is 250,000 times 20 units is 5 million. And then the remaining 50 units is computed at 15% of 10%. So that is 1.5%, or 15% of 1 million is 0.15 or 150,000 times 50 units is 7.5 million. So you just total all of this to come up with your total professional fee of 26 million. So you may wonder, wow, napakalaki naman ng professional fee for just one particular house model, no? So ang ano kasi dito is that for every ang rationale dito, for every particular structure kasi you still have to do work, like you have civil liability as well as you do also periodic construction supervision. And this particular type of computation is also based on international standards. So if the developer cannot afford to pay you 26 million, then think if the housing unit is not so complicated, then probably 10% can be reduced to come up with a smaller professional fee. Now for group 8, these are for projects involving extensive detailing such as designs for built-in components or elements, built-in equipment, special fittings, screens, counters, architectural interiors, and development planning and or design. The recommended professional fee is 15% of the project construction cost. Now for group 9, this is for alterations, renovations, rehabilitations, retrofit, and expansion additions to existing buildings belonging to groups 1 to 5. And so the compensation of architects should be increased to 50% or a total of 150% of the RPF. So, meaning you only have to multiply the RPF doon sa groups 1 to 5 by 1.5. No? So, let's say residential yan na i-renovate at ang RPF ginamit mo is 10%. So, if you are doing renovation, it is 1.5 times 10%, meaning your fee now is 15%. Okay? Or you can just compute it by having 10% plus 50% of 10% is 5%. So, that is a total of 15%. Parehas lang yon. Okay, we now go to group 10. This is for services wherein the architect is engaged to render opinion or give advice, clarifications, or explanation on technical matters pertaining to the profession. So this includes the pre-design services in SPP document 201 under consultation. And so, the chargeable RPF of the architect shall not be less than 1,000 pesos per hour, subject to increase depending on the extent and coverage of service required and the location where the architect shall render his services. So, pwedeng tumaas pa yan kung mas malayo yung location kung saan mag-render ng service yung architect, at saka kung mas complicated yung gagawing trabaho. So, when rendering services as an expert witness, the architect's fee shall not be less than 5,000 pesos per appearance, regardless to whether the scheduled hearing took place or not. So, this is per appearance. Kahit na hindi natuloy yung hearing, it is chargeable already. So, the amount excludes the cost of transportation and accommodations when and where required. So, kung malayo yung location at kailangan magstay doon yung architect, then the cost of transportation and accommodation shall be shouldered by the client. And okay, so aside from this per hour or per appearance fee, the architect also shall be paid what you call the per dime if the location is very far from the architect's office address. So another 60% of the amount shall be charged for the travel period in case of locations that are in excess of 100 kilometers air, straight line, or radial distance measurement of the architect's office as stated in his letterhead. So kasama dyan sa charge yung travel period, kasi syempre wala na doon sa office yung architect at papunta na doon sa location kung saan ka magre-render ng services. So yung travel time na yon kasama yan sa kino-compute. And that is yung travel yung computation for the travel period na cost is just 60% of this per hour fee. Now note, all references to fixed amount shall refer to the value of the Philippine peso as of October 2014. So, kaya ito nilagay kasi nga nung ginawa yung document na to is nung 2014 pa. And so, you have to change this according to the value of the Philippine peso noong 2014 versus the prevailing value of the Philippine peso, the current value of the Philippine peso. Probably you can make use of as reference to the annual inflation rate. The average inflation rate I think is at 5%. So you can make use of that, or you can just refer to the central bank record for the inflation rate. Now, this is the manner of payment. Upon signing of the contract as serving as your acceptance, or the mobilization component is 5% of your professional fee. So, you will be paid already once you sign the contract. Upon the completion of the schematic design services, you get an additional compensation, you get an additional payment that will correspond to a total of 20% of your professional fee. So, kung meron ka ng 5%, so madagdagan ng 15%, so the total is 20%. Upon completion ng design development services, the total payment to the architect should be already 40% of the professional fee. And upon completion of the contract document services, the payment to the architect is already amounting to 90% of the professional fee. And now, within 15 days after the awards to the winning constructor, also your professional fee shall be adjusted so that it constitutes 90% of your professional fee. Pero kung sobrang lang naibayad dito, upon completion ng contract documents, at lumalabas mas mababa ang computation dito sa based sa winning bid, then you don't need to return the excess money, no? So, pwede naman mag-balance yan sa last payment. Now, upon completion of the work, you will be paid already 100% of your professional fee. Take note na iba-iba ang references ng professional fee natin. Number 1 is based on the original computation for the project construction cost, the SPP CC, or the Statement of Probable Project Construction Cost. So, yun ang unang reference mo. Then, once you prepare the schematic design, the construction estimate will also change. So your PF will also change. So, base na ito doon. And then, pagdating dito sa contract document, lahat ito ay base sa particular stage na yon. So sa design development, magbabago rin naman ang ang computation mo ng cost estimate. So again, you base your PF on that cost estimate. And then once you complete the contract documents, then magbabago na naman ang cost estimate mo. So you compute your PF based on that cost estimate. So iba-iba ang nagiging reference ng professional fee. So anyway, at the end of the project, the basis for your professional fee is on the final project construction cost. So kahit pabago-bago naman dito, the final reference will be the final project construction cost. So kung magkano yung maging actual cost talaga. So sometimes this can be confusing sa client dahil nagbabago-bago yung professional fee, and the client will just ask you to peg a fixed fee. So that is now the time that you make use of the fixed fee, and you have to make sure that your contract is very detailed. So let's take a look at how that works for the manner of payment. We have a commercial building, and the architect is to do a detailed architectural engineering design services wherein the RPF is 6%. Let's say 6% nga ginamit ng architect for that commercial building. And so upon signing of the contract, the estimated probable project construction cost is 50 million. And so the fee is 6% of 50 million is 3 million. So that is the professional fee. And so upon signing of the contract, of the agreement, you are to be paid already 150,000, constituting 5% of your professional fee of the fee of 3 million. Now, once you prepare the schematic design phase, then you come up with a new cost estimate of 55 million. And so with that, your professional fee, 6% of 55 million is 3.3 million. And so, upon completing the schematic design, you must be paid already a total of 20% of your professional fee. So 20% of 3.3 million is 660,000, but you are already paid 150,000. So babawas natin yan, and so the receivable is only 510,000. Now, once you complete the design development services, you come up with a new cost estimate of 52 million. And so, your professional fee is 6% of 52 million is 3.12 million. And so, with that, you have to be paid already 40% of your professional fee. So, 40% of 3.12 million is 1.248 million. But you have to less whatever has been paid to you already of 660,000. It means that your receivable is 588,000. Now, upon completing the contract document services, you come up with a new cost estimate of 53 million. And so, you are to be paid already 90% of your professional fee. But 53 million times 6% this is now your professional fee. 90% of that is 2.862 million. But you already received 1.248 million. So, babawas natin yan. So, the receivable is only 1.614 million. And so, the project is to be bidded out, and the winning bidder only has 51 million as the winning bid price. And so, your professional fee, 6% of 51 million, is only 3.06 million. So, it means, ang 90% of 3.06 is less than 2.8. So, medyo overpaid ka na. So, you don't need to return the excess money paid to you already. But anyway, may balance pa naman, no? So, upon completion of the work, the final project construction cost is actually 54 million. So, this is the final reference, the project construction cost. And so, 6% of that, your professional fee is 3.24 million. So, this is your professional fee. Ibawas lahat ng mga previous payments amounting to 2.862 million. And so, your receivable final payment is 378,000 only. So, mag-a-adjust naman yan talaga at the final payment. So, hindi naman magulo. Pero minsan, ang client, magtataka, bakit pabago-bago pa itong natin, professional fee? Why not just make use of one professional fee as reference, and then saka lang natin i-adjust sa final kung magkano talaga yung project construction cost, the final cost, para hindi magulo yung computation dito. Okay, so these are now the fee adjustment factors. I mentioned this kanina na pwede kang tumaas doon sa recommended professional fee or pwede ka rin magbawas ng percentage based on the requirements of the project. So this is the fee adjustment factors. So we are aware that the construction industry has become increasingly complex, and each project will be subject to certain unique factors which must be considered when determining an appropriate fee. Nag-iiba-ibang requirements na ngayon. These variables or fee adjustment factors affect the cost of professional services for the building. Now, the variable may result in a reduced fee such as limited project documentation or simply lang talaga yung requirements ng project, or the elimination of an entire phase such as bidding and contract negotiation if undertaken by the owner. So, bawas na doon sa part ng scope ng gagawin ng architect, kaya medyo nabawasan yung trabaho, no? So, pwede mong i-lessen kaysa doon sa recommended professional fee. So, these are the fee adjustment factors. In terms of project documentation, so some clients would require unique forms of documentation such as Building Information Model or BIM. So in this case, medyo mas mahal ang develop ng BIM. So you have to employ some personnel who are very knowledgeable on this, and probably the salaries is much higher. So the operational expenses is also higher. Now, in some cases, there is often a need to provide electronic documents in a variety of formats to several different parties in the development of the project, whether for review and approvals, the preparation of shop drawings, or for bidding purposes. So, hindi lang iisa ang ginagamit na electronic format dahil iba-ibang requirements ng iba-ibang parties doon sa project. So you have to develop different electronic documents. Another adjustment factor is the contract document submittal schedule. Like fast-track projects would require additional fees because the architect here may need to hire additional staff, pay the staff for overtime work, as well as reschedule other work to accommodate the priorities of such a project. So, medyo mas mahal ang paggawa ng overtime. And also, in terms of construction technologies, if the project would require, or the owner would require you to incorporate new construction technologies, that is for better energy performance, new building products and building systems, or advanced construction methods and design tools, that could be quite costly, as there are often unknown risks in using those products or systems that do not have a track record, or there may be additional certifications, testing, submittals, or approvals are required. And so, also, if the architect is not yet very familiar with that construction technologies, then additional research has to be undertaken. We have also third-party certification. So if the project will need some third-party certification, like for example the LEED, the green or verde for green building certification, then you have to do additional documentation requirements, or provide some additional documentation. Construction bid mode. Now, small projects with experienced and reliable contractors may require just a basic field review and contract administration services. However, more complex projects or builders with limited experience and newer methods of project delivery beyond the traditional design bid build will require more time, more services, and consequently additional fees. And in these particular instances, sa mga complex projects or big projects, sometimes you need to prepare multiple, or more often than not, you prepare multiple bid packages, and also you administer several bids and contracts. So that means a lot of work for the architect. Now, for the construction schedule, if the construction schedule is extended, the architect services also must be extended, and the increase must be compensated. So probably you can incorporate that in your contract kung ano yung how many months is the targeted construction schedule, and if the project will not be completed within the target construction schedule, an extension of the construction, the architect should be compensated for that additional time rendered. Now, if the schedule is fast and protracted, however, decision times are reduced and fees may be adjusted accordingly. So kung mabilisan naman yung construction, and that is to be done by the contractor, nabawasan yung period ng construction supervision ng architect, then pwedeng mas mababa yung percentage fee. Now, also for construction administration, most projects that would require a level of service which extends that which is required to exercise a reasonable standard of care, especially during field review and contract administration of the project. So parang per dime and honorarium na method of compensation you apply here for this particular type of activities, like additional meetings, coordination and or site visits with clients, representatives, user groups, contractors, and subtrades, or sometimes the architect may be asked to chair or minute meetings called by others and are the responsibility of others. And also the architect is to do additional clarifications and site visits resulting from the client's selection of specific contractors, sub, sub-trades, and suppliers. So if you are to do this additional work, then that can be added in the contract as an additional cost to be paid by the owner. Now we go to document 203 for specialized architectural services, the RPF for architectural interiors, acoustic design, architectural lighting layout and design, as well as site development planning. The RPF is 10% to 15% of the cost of the work. The cost of the work here is different from the project construction cost, meaning it is the cost of the architectural interior work or the cost of the acoustic installation cost. Now, the manner of payment is upon submission of the preliminary design, you are to be paid 30% of your professional fee. Upon submission of the final design is 50% of your the professional fee, and upon completion of the project, the remaining 20% of your professional fee. Now, if the architect of record is coordinating and relating the work of a separate specialist consultant doing these specialized architectural services, then the architect of record can charge 5% of that specialist consultant's fee. Kung yung architect of record is different from the one doing the specialized architectural services or the specialist consultant. Okay, now for physical planning for building sites. This is for estate planning or subdivision planning. Now, the recommended professional fee is 50,000 per hectare for the first 5 hectares. So, for the first 5 hectares, per square meter is 5 pesos per square meter. 1 hectare is 10,000 square meters, so meaning 50,000 pesos per hectare. So, for the first 5 hectares is 250,000 pesos. No? And then over 5 hectares, the excess is computed at 4 pesos per square meter or 40,000 pesos per hectare. Over 10 hectares, the excess is computed at 30,000 per hectare. And over 50 hectares, in excess, all the excess is computed at 15,000 per hectare. So same, this is same method yung kanina doon sa groups 1 to 3. Habang lumalaki yung construction cost, lumiliit yung chargeable professional fee. Now, for physical planning for building sites, if the land is rugged with steep terrain, the fee shall increase by 20 to 30%. That is the professional fee of the specialist consultant. Now, the manner of payment for the framework development plan is 30% of your RPF, and for the conceptual master development plan is 30%. Preliminary master development plan is 20%, and detailed master development plan is 20%. Now, take note that these services pertain only to the physical planning outputs. It doesn't include detailed engineering design services for the roadworks and utilities. Now, for other specialized services, under document 203, you can compute the compensation through man-months, that is man-days, multiplied by 8 man-hours, and multiplied by a factor. Actually, this is the same as the multiple of direct personnel expense. And also, aside from that, you can add also per dime plus reimbursable, or you can make use of retainer or the rate cost times a multiplier if the one doing is a professional architectural consultant. Now for document 204A, full-time supervision, the fee is based on one or more of the following: the percentage, multiple of direct, professional fee plus expenses, lump sum or fixed fee, per dime honorarium plus reimbursable expenses, or the mixed methods of compensation. And for the RPF, for the percentage fee, the recommended professional fee is 1% to 1.5% of the project construction cost. Or it is compensated, or the architect doing construction management is compensated using construction management constructing concepts like award fee provisions, price adjustment provisions, firm fixed price incentive, cost plus incentive fee, CPIF, or cost plus adjusted fee, CPAF, and cost plus fixed fee. So these contracting concepts is discussed when you study further construction management. Okay, for document 205, post-construction services, the fee is based on one or more of the following. So you now have the value-based pricing, or the percentage of gross rentals, maintenance and security fees, or I think the most common one employed is monthly salary. But you can also offer using the multiple of direct personal expense, retainer plus reimbursable, or PF plus expenses. Now for the value-based pricing, the recommended PF is from 4 to 6% of the gross rentals. Now we go to document 206, comprehensive architectural services. The fee is based on one or more of the following. So we have the percentage, we have the multiple of direct, the professional fee, and the lump sum or the fixed fee. Now for the percentage method, the RPF is 2% to 5% of the project construction cost. Okay, so let us summarize. For full-time construction supervision, the RPF is 1 to 1.5%. For construction management, RPF is 1.5 to 3%. And then for project management is 2 to 5%. Now we go to document 207, design build services. So the fee is based on any of the following, but also you can consider that the fee is already built in the guaranteed maximum cost. So the RPF for an architect doing design build services by administration shall be 7% of the project construction cost. Take note that is exclusive of the architect's fee for the regular design services. So kung yung design build services ka by administration, yung fee mo will be the fee for the design plus 7% for the construction administration. And if you are doing design build services on a guaranteed maximum cost, it will be 10% of the project construction cost, or is already built in the guaranteed maximum cost. Again, take note that it should be exclusive of the architect's fee for the regular design services. Mas mahal yung sa DBS, ang guaranteed maximum cost, kasi merong mga conditions na kailangan i-meet, no? So mas mahirap yung conditions doon sa DBS, guaranteed maximum cost, kaysa sa DBS by administration. So you can refer to SPP document 207 on what is the difference between the two. And lastly, we have document 209 is professional architectural consulting services. So you can use any of the following methods of compensation: per dime or hourly basis, retainer, salary cost times a multiplier plus direct costs or reimbursable expenses, wherein the multiplier is 3 as mentioned previously. Or you can use the fixed or the lump sum. or the percentage of the total project cost. With that, we now end our presentation. So if you want to have more review materials, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just type the hashtag Discover Atlas CDC or hashtag Discover Experience Atlas CDC. So thank you very much.